talking to you. I wish I could do a video every day. I hope everybody is doing really, really well. I had a busy week and I got to try some new products this week, and I wanted to talk about them with you for a minute. New foundation. It's called CIRCA, and it is by Eva Mendes. And I adore her as an actress. She's 41, and I have read that she is very hands-on with this company, so I was really curious about the makeup. I saw my friend Kari at Beauty, Mind, and Spirit. She did a review on this particular line, and it was such a beautiful, dreamy review. I will link that review to it also below. But the reason I was so fascinated about this particular makeup, and not just because it has this really cool like Art Deco packaging, has this really cool pump, I mean, isn't that cool? That is like the coolest packaging, and it runs through their powders and blushes, and anyway, it's just beautiful. But that wasn't why I was attracted to the makeup. This makeup is advertising that it has a matte finish but gives you a glow and works with all undertones. Now, because I have Italian olive skin, I am dealing with a lot of yellow undertones and rose undertones, and they sometimes kind of fight each other. So it's very, very difficult for me to get a makeup that gives me an even tone and a natural looking tone. So I was more than happy to drive to 2 different Walgreens a few days ago to try to find it is full coverage. But you know, like you know, Revlon Color Stay, that's full coverage too, but that's a makeup that I can't use because it makes me look very thick and masky, and it seems to find my fine lines. Well, this makeup, even though it's full coverage, isn't like that. It goes on very smooth, and it doesn't go into your pores or fine lines, but it just makes you look like you have really good skin. And I just kept staring in the mirror like, is this really true? Really, this is true? I applied it with a silicone primer and a beauty blender, and I did build it up twice. I wore it yesterday and today. I had it on for 6 hours. I didn't go beyond the 6 hours, but it held up really nice, and I couldn't believe it when I would look in the mirror, because it just gave me full coverage without it looking cakey or fake or masky. And I kept thinking, okay, something bad is going to happen, you know, this boyfriend can't be this good, this is our first date and it's going really well, but now something bad is going to happen. But so far nothing bad has happened. I just think it's a very sexy foundation because it gives you that confidence that you're not going to be shiny, but you are going to glow, but you do have full coverage. And for me, that's very important. I love my CC creams and my BB creams, and I usually would end up mixing those with something else to give me a little bit more coverage. But I'm so crazy about this CIRCA foundation because I didn't have to do that, because the full coverage is right there, plus you get the glow, but it's not this crazy oily dewy kind of you're melting kind of glow. So I am so happy to find this makeup. If I had something very important to go to, a wedding or any kind of really important function where I had to look good for a long time, and especially where photographs were going to be taken, I would use this foundation. And the #1 reason is because I don't get that crazy oily look to my face and my T-zone with this foundation, and it looks like real skin. So that I'm just so happy about that. It has 10 shades, and I don't really understand why it could only have 10 shades. I bought it in 01, which is the very lightest shade that you can buy it in, and that doesn't make any sense to me since I have olive skin, and I know a lot of you ladies out there have much lighter skin than I do. But there you have it. Absolutely, I love it. I love this makeup. So when I started reading about the CIRCA foundation, I really wanted to get my hands on it. And you know what that feeling is like when you really want something and you don't want to order it off the internet. You just want to really just go and buy it and get your hands on it and use it. And so I called the Walgreens that was by my house, and they don't carry CIRCA. The only Walgreens that had it was the Walgreens that was right by my grade school and right by the house where I grew up, the house that my grandfather built. And I thought, oh wow, you know, every time I go by my grade school, well, you know what happens, you know, then I have to like stop and, you know, do some deep thinking. And I thought, you know, I don't want to do that this week. I want to keep on an even keel. So anyway, I digress. So I drove all the way across town and I found it, and it was $15. So I went to the Walgreens that was right by my old house, and I said to myself, okay, I'm going to buy this makeup and then I'm just going to drive home because there's no reason for me to be going down the street where I used to grow up. So I got my makeup and I got in my car and I thought, well, what the heck? Let's just go down the street and see what the house I grew up in looks like. And so I did, and I not only went down the street, but I parked my car and I walked up and down the street, and I got my camera out and I started to film the front of my old home, and I actually kind of walked in the backyard and I started filming the backyard. And then, you know, later I started thinking, you know, that was just downright trespassing. I shouldn't have done that. This was the house that I grew up in. My grandfather built this house. And those are the steps that I sat in. As a child, they seemed so big. Those steps seemed just huge. And now they seem so small. Happy that I drove by, and the new owners are a young couple and they've planted so many beautiful plants, and it's a new beginning for them, and they have no idea that my grandfather built that house in 1922. And maybe at another time in my life, maybe I would have knocked on the door and introduced myself and asked if I could film. There was a time 20 years ago where I did take my mother by that house, and we saw my grandfather's urns, and we decided we were going to knock on the door and offer the people a little bit of money if we could take away my grandfather's urns. They were big, beautiful antique cement urns, and so the people were lovely. They invited us in and we had the house tour, and then at the very end we said, could we buy back our urns? And I showed a picture of me sitting by those urns when I was a little girl. And they said, well, how much money are we talking? And my mother said, well, how about if we give you $50? And they said, okay. And so we got my grandfather's urns from the 1920s. And they held so many dear memories for both my mother and myself. And she was so happy we got those urns. And those urns today are right outside my window. I've been single now. It'll be 4 years in March since my divorce, and I just joined a dating service this week. And it's funny, in those 4 years that I've been single, I really haven't felt alone, and I felt really proud of myself that I've built a new life for myself, and that I'm coming into my own and not depending on a man. As soon as I did that, and as soon as I started talking to various gentlemen, I suddenly felt single and I suddenly felt totally alone. And I have no idea why one triggered the other. It doesn't make any sense to me, but I started to feel a little weepy and a little vulnerable, and I was talking to a nice gentleman, and we were kind of chatting back and forth, and I asked him what he was doing, and he said he was cleaning his shotgun. And I just thought, wow, well, you probably don't want to mention to a woman you've never met that you're cleaning your shotgun. You know, I don't know. You know, it's funny. One of my neighbors here, she said to me, I don't understand why you joined a dating service. I mean, what do you want with a man? And so she had a good point. I was married all my life, or I had a boyfriend, and I used to be so afraid of being alone. And now it's just the opposite. I am afraid. I'm used to my freedom, and I feel strong, and I built a life for myself, and I'm set in my ways, and I can come and go as I please. So there's 1,000 positive things going on in my life, and I'm happy, but I am lonely too, and I think that I have a lot of love to give, and I would love to, you know, meet someone. And he doesn't have to be perfect. It just would be wonderful if he thought I was wonderful. But it's funny, you know, how I went all my life being afraid of being alone and ended up being more afraid of actually falling in love and losing myself, because I don't ever want to lose myself again. And I don't think love is about losing yourself. I think love is about finding yourself. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. I had such a good time talking about this new wonderful makeup that I found, and listening to me drone on and on about my love life, which you know I will always do. So I hope you have a wonderful week. I want you to take care of yourself, and I will see you soon. Yes, I will. And Cooper too.